So the Michael Woodbridge Award is awarded annually to a Seeds volunteer who has demonstrated exemplary service by giving generously of their time and talents in support of Seeds' mission and vision. I'm going to speak directly to her. Naina, this award is a reminder that you are often unaware of the lives you touch. This is the nature of the award you're receiving. In your pursuit of doing what is right and good for your family, for your community, and for the organizations you belong, especially Seeds, you unknowingly touch and inspire so many. It is my understanding, as was just confirmed by Harriet's reflection, that this was who Michael Woodbridge was as well, doing what he believed was right and good and inspiring many, many, many people along the way. You make doing the ordinary very extraordinary through the love, passion, and commitment with which you infuse your work. It's not contrived, forced, or natural. It is authentic, it's generous, and it is inspirational. This award comes with the thanks of so many who are intimately aware of the personal sacrifices you endured while leading Seeds through some challenging times and into a new period of growth. It comes with the often unspoken gratitude of students, teachers, and administrators for your persistent commitment to and advocacy of restorative justice in schools, as well as dozens and dozens of disputants you have helped in mediation. And finally, it comes with the sincere appreciation of a new, excited, and hopeful executive director, whom you took under your wing and mentored through his first year. I'm indebted to you for your patience, your kindness, and yes, even your stubbornness. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to award the 2013 Michael Woodbridge Award, the chair of our board of directors, master mediator, RJ champion, and invaluable friend of Seeds, Naina Sen.
Firsthand what Michael was like, and that was really, she was not even able to give her full eulogy. And I am also humbled because I know many of you give generously to Seeds and to many other organizations. And so I feel very honored to be here, but I know in my heart how much you all do for the community, so thank you. I have the honor of co-mediating a case with Michael, thanks to David Houston. David, I see you. I haven't talked to you yet, but, and even though Michael had many more years than I did under his belt as a mediator, he was so gracious and kind when I arrived at the pre-mediation briefing, when he said, "I am so glad you are here." And within those few words, he immediately made me feel seen and appreciated. Our keynote speaker and performer, Glenn, asked a great question when we met with him earlier this week about tonight. And what he said was, "Why do you care? Why do you care? Why are you doing this work?" And I gave an answer, and I stand by my answer at the time. But I thought about it more since meeting with Glenn. And I care because, quite frankly, life is short. And conflict causes pain, and it reduces your quality of life. And in too many instances in our neighborhoods, it ends in death. Last summer, my husband Bill and I took our then 13 and 9-year-olds to Maui. And while they got to do the fun things like boogie boarding and zip lining across tropical forests, being the parent that I am, stubborn or whatever.
I'm going to regret that.
You are. Thankfully, I've already done a review. But I'm also the kind of parent that takes my kids to local cultural events. And so now you can imagine a 13 and a 9-year-old and their kind of reaction to my enthusiasm saying, guess what we're going to do today? We're going to go weave baskets with banana leaves, and we're going to go listen to a Hawaiian storyteller. So this is the reaction. Mom, really? Yes, really. So the first thing that the storyteller talked about was what aloha means. And I think probably most of you are familiar with the word aloha. It has a lot of meanings. Hello, goodbye, love. But there are other meanings of aloha that I wasn't aware of and that he shared with us. Broken down, and I'm kind of a word person. Aloha is broken down into two parts. There's alo and then there's ha. And alo has a sense about it, which is a presence. You are representing your ancestors and yourself. And ha, very interestingly, is breath. So putting it together, it's the divine breath. And so I was mesmerized by that, and my children were very polite, thankfully. But they were much more interested in his next story, which was about Pele, the volcano goddess. Now, Pele has a lot of stories about her, and there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of treacherous voyages and battles, and the drama has a lot to do with family mistrust and jealousy. And so, Michael's words, I'm so glad you are here, reminded me about the next story that I'm going to tell you. Because when you talk about aloha, it enables you to hear what is not said, to see what cannot be seen, and to know the unknowable. And so when Michael said that to me, I'm so glad you are here, it felt like he was saying aloha to me. And so when we talked about, or the storyteller talked about Pele, and he finished his story, for some reason, I was feeling a bit daring. So I asked the storyteller if he would like to hear a modern story of two Hawaiian sisters. A bit surprised, but curious, because I was a mainlander and what did I know? He agreed. And so I shared a story about two sisters who were raised very differently from each other. While the elder sister was taught how to ride horses and to dance the hula, the younger sister played with her cat on their family farm. And over time, there was a distance that was created between the two sisters, and a lot of mistrust and jealousy and misunderstanding. And decades went by, and as adults, they rarely spoke and saw each other. And so when they were in their later years and thousands of miles away from each other, one was in Hawaii and one was in Kansas. The older one was in a hospice bed, and the curtains in the room were drawn, and the family and the friends stood around her and spoke to each other in hushed voices. The older sister had been unconscious for about 24 hours when a phone was placed on her pillow. Over the phone speaker, a familiar voice was heard to have said, "Ellie, this is Elva. I send you aloha from Hawaii." At the sound of Elva's voice, Ellie's face became noticeably attentive, and she listened intently as Elva continued. When Elva finished speaking, Ellie nodded distinctly, and not long afterwards completed her journey peacefully. So when I finished my story with the Hawaiian storyteller, he looked at me and he nodded. He knew. So why do I care? I care because life is too short for conflicts that are necessary. And to the extent possible, I want people to live without pain and conflict, and to have what the Hawaiians would call the breath of life. So in closing, and I know that Michael would join me in saying this, we are so glad you are here, and we wish you all aloha.
Thank you so much, Diana. But I have to call you back up here. You're going to do an introduction. So I don't want to spoil the introduction to our keynote speaker.